Stop scrolling. You're not here for entertainment. You're here because something inside you is collapsing, and you know it. This isn't motivation. This is a warning. There's a brain hack, real, brutal, and battle-tested, that can make you unstoppable. But there's a cost. Used wrong, it doesn't make you strong. It makes you cold. Number inhuman. You think strength means silence, control, never breaking? That's a lie sold to keep you fractured. Because the real battlefield isn't out there. It's in your mind. And right now, your thoughts are a war zone. This video will take you to the fracture point, where your old identity dies and a new one emerges. We'll decode the hidden corruption, override the false programming, and rewire the way you move through storms. But know this, once you cross this threshold, there's no going back. You'll either evolve or erase yourself trying. This is your last quiet moment before the awakening. Let's begin. Number 1. When you stop feeling, you start forgetting. There's a hidden cost to being strong that no one talks about. We wear emotional numbness like armor, convincing ourselves it's wisdom, maturity, even power. But what if I told you it's not power, it's decay? When you stop feeling, you start forgetting. Not just the pain, but the reason you ever cared in the first place. You don't just silence heartbreak. You silence hunger, ambition, love, and drive. Emotional shutdown may protect you from being burned, but it also dims the inner fire that gave your life warmth and color. That fire, that ache, isn't the enemy. It's the evidence you're alive. We tell ourselves, "I don't care anymore," as if apathy is enlightenment. But apathy isn't peace. It's amnesia. You don't transcend suffering by avoiding it. You transcend by feeling it fully and choosing to move forward anyway. Let this hit. Numbness isn't strength. It's a slow brain death. Your mind doesn't just forget the wound, it erases the why behind your fight. Why you started, who you promised to become, what mattered at all. You become a machine, efficient, unshaken, and empty. Here's the truth. Pain is a messenger. It reminds you what's sacred. And when you silence that voice for too long, you also mute your deepest values. People think invulnerability is the goal. But what's the point of being invincible if you no longer remember why you wanted to win? Take a breath and ask yourself, what have I stopped feeling lately? What memory, what passion, what version of me have I buried just to survive? Maybe it's time to feel again. Not for weakness, but for clarity. Avoiding pain isn't clarity, it's amnesia. And this is the paradox of true strength. You can only hold your mission tightly if you also remember what it feels like to lose it. That's what keeps you human. And if you lose that, you didn't evolve. You disappeared. 2. Strength without vulnerability becomes control. Real strength isn't what breaks the room. It's what holds it together without needing to crush anyone inside. When your only gear is domination, even your love starts to look like a trap. Control masquerades as care. Attention becomes surveillance. Support becomes pressure. And slowly, the people around you stop being honest. Not because they don't love you, but because they fear you. That's not power. That's isolation in disguise. Power without vulnerability doesn't create leadership. It breeds control. And control, no matter how polished or strategic, is hollow if it demands silence from the people closest to you. If no one feels safe enough to challenge you, you haven't built a tribe. You've built a prison. And you're sitting alone in the warden's chair. You think being invulnerable means you're above weakness. But what if it just means you're unreachable? Respect isn't given to the strongest. It's given to the most real. Vulnerability isn't your downfall. It's your anchor to what's true. When you show softness, It doesn't take away your edge. It sharpens your humanity. Ask yourself, who can tell you no without fear of losing access to you? Who can disagree with you without triggering your wrath? If your power demands silence, it's not strength. It's insecurity in a suit. You don't build people by overpowering them. You build people by showing them you're powerful and present, fierce and fair. Strength that lacks softness becomes manipulation, a quiet tyranny. And one day, you wake up and realize the people who loved you stopped being themselves just to stay close to you. You're not strong if everyone's scared to tell you the truth. Real power listens. It leads with enough stillness to hear what others won't say out loud. That's not weakness. That's rare. That's legendary. And maybe that's the version of you were meant to become all along. 3. If nothing can break you, nothing can reach you. We convince ourselves that becoming unbreakable is the goal, that if nothing touches us, nothing can hurt us. But here's the truth. If nothing can break you, nothing can reach you. That armor you've built? It might keep the pain out, but it also locks the beauty out with it. Love, trust, wonder, even joy, they all knock gently. And if your only response is silence, they'll stop knocking. You didn't become bulletproof. You became unreachable. Psychological invincibility is a clever illusion. It feels safe because it's numb. It feels powerful because it's distant. But real power isn't distance, it's depth. It's the courage to let something in, knowing it might shake you. And here's the twist. The same walls you built to protect yourself have become the cage you can't escape. You think you're protecting your peace, but what you're really doing is burying your aliveness. Pain and love come through the same door. If you shut it to one, you shut it to both. Think about that. That moment when you stopped trusting anyone, that was also the moment you stopped being truly seen. That conversation you avoided because it was too raw, that was the conversation that could have saved you. We all want strength, but we forget. There's no strength in being unreachable. There's just control, distance, emptiness, and eventually, isolation so complete, you forget how to let anything real in. So what if the brain hack isn't to be untouchable, but to be open without being undone? What if real strength is standing in the storm without shutting your soul? That's the paradox. The fortress feels safe, but it kills connection. The shield keeps you alive, but keeps you alone. Take off the armor, not for everyone, just for someone, just enough to feel again. You don't need to be broken to be open, but you do need to be open to be human. 4. Mastering strength without losing humanity. The highest level of strength isn't about becoming untouchable. It's about staying real while being unshakable. Anyone can go numb. Anyone can shut down, lash out, or bulldoze their way through life. That's easy. What's hard is being powerful and present. What's rare is being fierce, without forgetting why you're fighting in the first place. If you don't master the balance between the monster in you and the mission in you, you'll lose the very thing that made you worth following. There is a version of strength that looks impressive, but leaves you empty. It's all teeth and no tenderness, all wins and no wisdom. And over time, that kind of strength makes you a weapon, not a leader. True mastery is knowing when to punch and when to pause, when to burn a bridge and when to build one. It's not about being soft. It's about being so in control of your power that you don't need to prove it at every turn. The monster in you is real, and it's necessary. You'll need it to face betrayal, chaos, failure, and every lie life throws at you. But that monster must serve something greater, your mission, your values, your code. Without a mission, your strength turns reckless. Without restraint, your wins become destructive. Power is easy, restraint is war, and it's a war you fight in silence. Every day you choose not to clap back, not to dominate, not to destroy just because you can. That's not weakness, that's evolution, that's humanity refined. Ask yourself, can you hold your ground without crushing someone else's? Can you lead without demanding loyalty? Can you be respected without being feared? If not, it's time to sharpen your discipline, not your dominance. The brain hack isn't just to be strong, it's to aim your strength. Let the monster speak when it must, but let the mission lead. That's how you become inhumanly strong, without ever losing what makes you human. 5. Be ruthless with the world, gentle somewhere. The world will ask you to be sharp, to be relentless, to grind your edges into a weapon and never show your wounds. And yes, sometimes that's what it takes to survive. But if all you ever become is armor, then eventually there's nothing left underneath it. You can't bleed for everyone, but if you bleed for no one, you're already dead. Total hardness doesn't protect you. It fractures you, quietly, from the inside out. This is where people break. Not when they face challenge, but when they forget to come home to something soft. You can be ruthless in the boardroom, in the gym, in the fight. But if you don't have one place where your guard comes down, your humanity will fade like a photo left in the sun. One person, one room, one breath where it's safe to not be the killer. That's not weakness. That's what saves you. You're allowed to be a storm out there, but you need to be water somewhere. Fierce doesn't mean hollow. Hard doesn't mean heartless. And if your strength demands constant suppression of tenderness, it's not strength. It's fear dressed up as discipline. Let this land. If your heart is never soft, your soul turns to stone. The brain doesn't just need intensity, it needs intimacy, connection, a moment that doesn't require performance. You want to know the hack that makes you inhumanly strong without becoming less human? It's this. Make room for contradiction. Be a warrior, but find a sanctuary. Be sharp, but keep a space for softness. Because when the day ends and the noise stops, it won't be the trophies that hold you. It'll be the people, the presence, the rare silence that allows you to exhale without proving anything. So don't chase strength that costs you everything tender. Keep a piece of yourself untouched by the war. Power without a place to rest becomes poison. Be ruthless with the world, but be gentle somewhere. That's how you stay alive while conquering everything. 6. Don't become what you escaped from survival mode will whisper that it's making you stronger. But sometimes, it's just turning you into a mirror of your pain. When you've been betrayed, abandoned, abused, your mind builds walls, rules, weapons. And at first it feels like evolution. But over time, if you're not careful, you don't become healed. You become hardened. You adopt the tactics of what broke you, thinking they'll protect you. But if you copy your captor, you're still in a cage. Trauma doesn't just hurt you, it teaches you. But the lessons it teaches are often lies. It tells you trust is weakness, that love is dangerous, that control equals safety. And if you believe those things, you don't just escape the fire, you become it. You trade vulnerability for vigilance, intuition for paranoia, compassion for strategy. And soon, you're no longer escaping your past, you're replicating it on loop. This is the trap. Thinking survival is the end game. But survival is just the beginning. The real work starts after. You have to study your trauma, every method, every message, every pattern. Then you reject it, on purpose. That's not denial, that's design. You decide what kind of person you want to be, not just what kind of pain you want to avoid. This brain hack? It's not about becoming invincible, it's about becoming informed. You don't heal by erasing the past. You heal by refusing to let it program you. That's the rebellion. To take what hurt you and not pass it forward. To build a life that doesn't need to resemble the war you survived. That's not soft. That's revolutionary. Ask yourself, what habits, what reactions, what rules did you absorb from survival that you never questioned? And what would it look like to live by something you chose instead? You escaped. Good. Now evolve. Your trauma might have shaped your reflexes, but your response is your own. Don't just survive what hurt you. Outgrow it, outsmart it, and most of all, don't become it. 7. Build a personal code and obey it. Strength without structure is chaos, and the most dangerous kind of strength is the one that answers to nothing. Not to principles, not to values, not to a higher aim. That's why the most powerful thing you can do is build a personal code and obey it. Not because someone told you to, but because you chose it. Rules forced on you feel like prison, but rules you create? That's freedom with a backbone. Most people wait until they're in crisis to decide what matters. But by then, it's too late. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your habits. So the question is, what system are you falling back on? What do you stand on when everything else shakes? That's your code. And it's got to be built on clarity, not comfort. Because comfort will lie to you. It will keep you soft, distracted, reactive. Clarity is sharp. It cuts through noise and asks, who are you when no one's watching? Your code isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. When your emotions flare, your discipline is what holds the line. When doubt creeps in, your code tells you where to aim. And when success tempts you to relax, it's your code that reminds you. This isn't about ease, it's about evolution. Discipline isn't punishment, it's identity. Every time you follow your own rules, especially when it hurts, you carve integrity into your nervous system. You prove to yourself that your word means more than your mood, that your path matters more than your pain. That's not restriction, that's real power. This brain hack is simple, but most avoid it because it demands self-authorship. It forces you to think beyond reaction, to lead yourself instead of being led by comfort, chaos, or external rules. Write the code. Live the code, especially when it's hard. That's how you become someone even you can trust. In a world full of noise, being anchored in your own discipline makes you not just strong, but unshakable. 8. Connect with people who aren't afraid of your power. Your power will intimidate the insecure, attract the inauthentic, and test the strong. That's why one of the most underrated brain hacks for real growth isn't a solo ritual. It's this. Surround yourself with people who aren't afraid of your power. Because if you're constantly shrinking to make others comfortable, you're not evolving. You're editing yourself to survive in rooms too small for your future. Weak people won't tell you the truth. They'll compete with you in silence, resent you in private, and celebrate your mistakes louder than your wins. Fake people? They'll worship your image but avoid your depth. They want the surface-level shine, not the struggle behind it. But strong people, they'll sharpen you. They won't flinch at your intensity. They'll call you out not to dim you, but to demand your highest self. That's not ego. That's alignment. You don't need cheerleaders. You need challengers. People who ask, is that your limit or just your comfort zone? People who don't get scared when you speak boldly or dream bigger. People who don't chase you. They match you. Because real connection doesn't begin with validation. It begins when fear ends. Don't settle for applause when you were built for ascension. If the people around you are always clapping but never questioning, you're in a crowd, not a circle. And if you're constantly lowering your volume to stay loved, you're not connected, you're performing. Stop looking for approval in places that only accept your silence. Power grows in the presence of honesty, and the right people won't run from your growth. They'll fuel it. So be bold in your becoming. Speak the truth even when it shakes the room. And watch who stays. That's your tribe. This brain hack isn't about being liked. It's about being lit up by the right energy. Keep your circle tight, not small, because the people you let in shape the person you become. Let them sharpen you, not shackle you. If these truths hit you like a punch to the gut, good. That means you're awake. The real flex isn't being untouchable. It's staying human in a world that rewards numbness. You're either building yourself from the inside out, or letting the world build you into something you won't even recognize. Start choosing power that doesn't cost your soul. Subscribe to Mind Drift for more mind-shifting, soul-grounding, and inspiring Buddhist insights on living a peaceful life.